Well, folks, as you can see, I have Aristo with me again, and this is the video for February the 10th, 2018, and it's going to be perhaps a little bit more of a discussion. The title we've come up with is Issues of Spirituality in Reality. So, Aristo, introduce, go from here.
Go from here. Okay. Thank you, Ron. I decided to just give the viewers, both of us, that we should give the viewers something a little different instead of just the typical Aristo monologue, which may or may not be good depending on my mood, depending on, the temperature, depending on a lot of variables, or how much sleep I get or you get, or sometimes we, in order to make a video, it takes a while for us to come together, and it's not so as easy as one might expect, oh, let's show up at a certain time and just make a video. Things pop up. So if I feel the tension of that, sometimes maybe my monologue will not be as appealing as it could, or as objective as it could. So let's just see, because I really have no clue. This was prompted apparently by recently, because this is a totally different time than we usually do a video. It's several hours later. It is about almost 5 o'clock here, and it's almost, 8 o'clock over there in the morning?
No, it's 9:46.
9:46. Well, here it's 4:46. So, and that's good. I have more time right now at this time, and Ron happens to have more time as well. Than before, because we're kind of rushed in the earlier types of videos. So we'll see where this goes.
My granddaughter, who I normally take to school in the mornings, has been sick all week with fevers that seem to come and go. And I mean, and bear in mind, this granddaughter is the one of my 3 grandkids that loves school. This is the first she's missed all year, but she's missed the entire week. And I'm sure she's really having a hard time.
Well, there's certain, over here at least, people are getting sick in that way. I mean, it comes and then another one comes. Oops, sorry.
Whoa.
Knocked over the microphone. And then another one comes, and it's not like, oh, I got sick, I got better. So there's a lot of environmental variables, I think, even chemtrails and I don't know what, but that's a word we shouldn't be saying. So in any case, let's go back to a nice and safe topic, which is the reality of spirituality or spiritual issues in reality. Now, this was prompted by a discussion on Ron's Facebook page here about his recent video where you were talking about, the name of the book is The Secret Garden
well, it's the one that I'm actually listening to now is The Forbidden Legacy of the, and that's all I can see. It's actually on the monitor right now because
Ooh, The Forbidden Legacy of the,
I apologize for that, but the first 4 books in the series, actually you could click them on. This one is the 5th book in the series, and I understand now there's 8. I had misquoted that there were 7. There's 8 books in the series. But the last 4 are difficult to access. In fact, I had to call my friend even to access this. And if I click down, it disappears. And then I've got to go through the process of trying to find it again. It's not easy to find, even on the guy's website. But it's fascinating material.
Well, sometimes authors will allow their first 4 volumes, and if they have another 4, they want the person to purchase it,
Well, he doesn't make any, it's very plain. He does not make any money off of this. People that want to download it can download it for free. He's very against the system.
Yeah.
And he was raised, and he was a minister in a fundamentalist church.
And then the other shoe drops, and you point out that he promotes that this reality is an illusion. Physical reality.
Or more correctly, a delusion.
A delusion. Which is very similar to what fundamentalist Christianity teaches. Not literally. They don't say it literally, but basically in the end, we're all here to be judged. And the afterlife is really what matters. eternal life for those who are judged as being cool, and those who are judged as being not cool, eternal damnation. So essentially, the basic belief didn't change. It's just everything around it, because I believe, now, it might seem like I'm reading into this person, but what I'm doing is basically reading into a certain belief system. If you believe that the material reality is an illusion, that is a fundamentally core belief. It is a fundamentally, you can't say that's just your opinion. If you really, really believe that, it's something that affects everything that you do. It has to. I mean, come on, you're living in a world that you think is completely phony, as opposed to believing it's real and tangible and well, I mean, meaningful, and that you really want to be here. Some people would say, well, it doesn't matter if it's phony or not. I don't want to be here. I don't like it. But it's not like you're in a room and you want to get out, you're going to go to another room, or you're going to leave the house to the outside. This is basically, you hate yourself because your embodiment is an aspect of your being. To actually say, it's like having a family. I say, I don't like my parents, so they're not my parents. They're just illusion. I don't like my children. My children are not the children I wish I had, so I know I should love them, but I don't want to admit that I hate their guts. So I'm going to just say that they're delusion. They're illusions. And I'm going to be a nice father and do all that I'm supposed to do, and just patiently wait till either I'm dead or they leave the house and never see me again, or whatever. These are avoidances, in my opinion. Now, again, see, this is an offensive point of view to anybody who, my point of view is an offensive point of view to anybody who holds this belief. It's not just that I disagree with them. I believe it's a harmful belief. For example, if you believe this planet is a monstrosity, a perversion, and evil, now you're obviously not going to do things that benefit it. You're obviously not going to want to help the planet. And maybe you're just one person, but what if your belief affects other people? What if these people are disillusioned with life, and instead of having some encouragement and hope to get back into engagement so they may strengthen themselves and maybe find meaning in that activity of becoming stronger, because maybe it's just a matter of the wound that they have inside of them. Instead, a person who believes it's an illusion and meaningless will give them an easy way out. It's like somebody pushing drugs. I mean, yeah, we don't like people pushing drugs to our kids, but maybe they'll be offended if we say, oh, who are you to judge me that I push drugs to your kids? Because the kids are depressed and want an easy way out. So, they're in
the friends that I've talked to about this, I mean, they're not, and I'm not suicidal either. I know.
You don't have to be. That's the thing. You see, the belief has a built-in, shall we say, clause against suicide. Basically, it's a sin to commit suicide, first of all. It's irresponsible because you're here for a reason. God put you here. I'm sorry. At least I'm not knocking over my computer.
It's too close.
Yes, it is. But then maybe I'm not heard so well. Okay, it's fine. But God put you here, or someone put you here. Who are you to, take yourself out? Now, of course, many cultures are not against suicide. If you don't like your life here, it's up to you to end it. Christianity doesn't want its believers to go. I think Judaism, other cultures, monotheistic religions are mostly against suicide. But the Japanese, for example, have a culture where suicide is acceptable if you want to atone and save face, for example. And I believe other cultures are like that as well. And ancient cultures were like that. Warrior cultures where, okay, you shamed everybody, so just kill yourself, as atonement. I'm not saying either way about the issue. I believe in life, and I believe, well, you're going to die anyway, so unless you're being tortured hopelessly, and it's a matter of euthanasia. I would be in some cases for euthanasia. I don't believe in punishing somebody who offers the option, as long as they don't force it on other people. But the point is that I'm saying that beliefs are never neutral so long as they can affect people. It's like saying drugs are neutral. Again, I'm not somebody who is against self-medicating with natural substances, let's put it that way. Because if you are an adult and you research this and you know what you're getting into, then it is your perfect right to do this, so long as you take precautions not to endanger other people.
I agree.
The rest of it, is just a matter of societal control, in my opinion. But children are a different story. Going around convincing children that their gender is not their gender, for example, is, a crime, in my opinion. It should
Well, a lot of the
done.
schools seem to be promoting a genderless society.
The schools are institutions, and institutions have funding, and funding has authority behind it, or whatever. There is a genderless society is a hive society. That's where it would be going, because hives, the worker class, doesn't have gender. Bees may be female, but they don't reproduce, so they're like genderless. So if the society wants us to become worker bees, it's going to promote a genderless, an effeminate, infertile standard like that. And where basically even the females are more masculine, the males are more feminine, but it's more effeminate overall. And then
they're making it more and more difficult for women to carry children. I mean,
exactly.
I know a particular individual, a friend of mine, who has at least had a couple of miscarriages, and she's just a young woman. Anyway.
Most of it, a lot of it is dietary, a lot of it is stress. There are many factors. The thing is, the internet is controlled, it sucks, blah, 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 but there is still information. And a lot of the good information, however, is going to be slandered. You have to develop discernment. You find something that clicks well with you. Remember your natural sense. In any case, we're talking about belief systems here and the spiritual issues in reality. Spiritual issues are also issues of ideals, the essence of our awareness, our attitudes, all of this. It connects to psychology, so-called, in a materialist society, but in essence, it is part of how the spirit expresses in the world, how our consciousness expresses in the world. Many would argue, no, the spirit is just the highest point. No, the spirit permeates everything. There's no highest point. It may be its singular essence, but that's not all that. We're not talking divinity here. We're talking spirit. In other cultures, it was called the unseen. You have the seen world, the experienced material world, and you have the unseen, which is a more subtle world. The underworld, not in the sense that it lies under your feet, although some believe that, but more like the more subtle, the underlying world, like the underlying context, more like the inner world. But it has the same space as the world we see. In any case, the belief that the world is an illusion, we find it in India. We find it in Buddhism in some ways, although they don't really say that. They just say that, well, it's a pain in the ass, and you'll be better off in the essence of reality. We find it in Greece with Plato, because Plato says, look, the world, with the analogy of the cave, where basically this is a world of shadows, and basically pure ideas are the reality. So he was an idealist in the true sense of the term, not in the optimistic type sense we use it today so much. But this idea that was also absorbed by Gnosticism and Gnostic Christianity, even though it wasn't the only way, and I don't know the philosophers' names and stuff right now off the bat, people could research them if they want. I'm sure others are aware of, how these movements started and what they are and all of that. But the fact is that people took it upon themselves at some point to say that, well, the lower classes, the dirt poor, the feminine, which is always more organic than men were. This was the patriarchal culture. Even the ancient Greek culture was very patriarchal, very male-oriented, very exclusive. And then you have the upper classes, the aristocrats, the nobility, who also were above the rest. So they were more mentalized, and so clean and pristine and pure, and not touching these dirty, sensual, disgusting, animalistic type things. So you have a schizoid dynamic going on. You see, this is why it's like, look, man, I don't know. I can understand schizophrenia as a disease and blah, 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 but I'm not going to say, oh, it's great to be schizophrenic. I don't have to commit a hate crime to disagree that schizophrenia, is a disease and not just a life choice. This isn't a life choice. However, these belief systems are life choices, but they're schizophrenic in nature. So in my honest opinion, yes, they're unhealthy. Now, are we going to be politically correct? Or are we going to discern, to be courageous enough, or at least, rational enough to be able to discern if something is healthy or unhealthy? Now, again, everybody would say, but you may be wrong. No, the fact is, as far as these ideas are concerned, if you divorce reality into two parts, we call it dualism. The mistake people make is that they either have these opposing parts in reality and call it dualism, matter, spirit, blah, 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 or they go for monism, which is like one thing. Usually it's spirit or matter, not a few of the two. Why don't you just call it holism? Holism means everything. So you have spirit and matter, they're separate, but they're also together. It's both and, as we used to say.
Exactly. That's where I still come from.
I mean, again, you have so many things that people talk about, and it's like, well, yes, you do have these ideas that the material plane is an illusion or delusion or it's used against us, but then you have these other ideas that say, even if you agree that the material plane is a relative plane of existence instead of an absolute plane of existence, even if it is a created plane of existence, it's still potentially done for the purpose of having a good time, for the purpose of meaningful expression. Now, we say good time because we are a work-oriented culture. So having a good time means getting off of work and trying to forget your stupid day. So it's a form of escapism, and it's meant to be, or passing the time. See, we've been brainwashed that the only way our time is useful is if we're working, is usually working for somebody. Usually having a boss, even if we are our own boss. So unless you're doing that, again, a working hive mind type of scenario, whether you're alone in the boonies working for yourself, it's like you're playing as a kid, but then you have to become an adult. No, why can't you continue want to play? Why can't play be productive? That's how many corporations are trying to promote that they're running. I don't believe that that's the way it works. They're more turning into cults or something, like Google or whatever. But the thing is that if the universe, like Indian Tantra, for example, says that, look, the divinity created the world and all the people in it, and in order to embody them through their consciousness and whatever, in order to be able to play. Love is playful. Love is not about work. Again, our culture says we have to work for love. We have to work for our relationships. And yes, it may seem like work because everything is going against us. We're fighting against the current here. So when you're in an environment that's hostile to you, are you going to blame the environment or are you going to blame what is in the environment? And then, but why blame anything? Okay, then let's change the wording. Are you going to identify what needs correction? Are you going to identify how you can rectify the situation? Is escape really what you want? Now, as far as I'm concerned, that's fine. If you want to escape or go. Or if you think this world is a lie, go. That's fine. But the fact is, that if everybody believes in that, in their hearts, in their subconscious, they're going to wish to not be here. And if you wish that you're not here, then those that don't want you here are going to have an easier time of it. You're helping them. You're helping the archons or the establishment or whatever you want to call it, whatever wants to.
The goal is population reduction. One of
exactly. And they tell you, don't go into the light. I read this about your karmas. I know it's popular now, all the light and whatever. It's like, hey, man, look, you think that if they don't have a false dark and a false light both, you think that the dark is going to be better? You think that if the after death state is controlled, you don't have like, look, if it's promoted in a religion, then it's control. All right? Because a religion is a mass produced belief system. So if an establishment goes a long way to kill people so they sustain this belief system, then that means there's a reason for it. And if you want to go spiritual and you're not just a complete scientific materialist that doesn't believe in afterlives and all of this, well, then consider that, well, you're going to leave, you're going to say, oh, don't go left, go right. Well, because the left is controlled. Well, the right's controlled too. It's called a controlled opposition. So both the white door, and the black door are controlled. Oh, then which door do I go to? You don't need to go to any door. That's the problem. You don't need to go anywhere. Well, remain here and be a ghost? No, you need to be whole. It's all about the inner world. Forgive yourself. Know that it's not your fault. Know, however, that you can make corrections. People are afraid of admitting to themselves that they need to make corrections because they think it's blame. If I say, okay, hey, you're doing something that's harming somebody else, do I have to be blaming somebody when that goes on? No, that's definition of blame. No, because you have the blame, because blame is usually condemnation followed by punishment or the cry for punishment. Blame always has punishment somewhere implied there. That's why we don't like it. I don't want people to punish me. They can blame me all they want, but I don't want them to hunt me down or stop talking to me altogether, or exile me, or cut my funds, or punish me in one way or another, or hurt me physically or mentally or whatever, or troll me, or And so we are afraid of no judgment. Again, all these connotations that we've been brainwashed into. And all of this has to do with spirituality, because the spiritual dynamic is connected to the mind. The mind is the body of the spirit. And the physical body or the emotions are the body of the thinking mind. And the physical body is the body of the emotional body. These esoteric...
All interconnected, in other words.
They're all interconnected. They're like these little dolls, the Russian dolls. One is inside the other, nested ones. You got a big doll, and then you got one that looks just like it, but it's smaller, and you put it in there, and then that one screws open, and then you put another smaller one, and that one screws open, and you put another smaller one until you got the little itty bitty soul, in the middle. And this little itty bitty soul is not insulated. It's just that there are a series of filters, or basically membranes, that all vibrate in a beautiful dance called experience, and it feeds on this dance. It grows through this dance. It becomes a complex thing. From a single spark of divine light, experience turns it into a complex organic rainbow. And eventually this rainbow can blend with all of the other layers. And eventually some esoteric systems tell us, through a process called alchemy, if you want to accelerate it, or natural evolution, eventually it all becomes of the quality of the soul. Nothing is thrown out. This isn't a throwaway existence. That's taking all our stupid Western instant throwaway, just cut it down into a meme, into a little box, put it in a little box, package it, whatever, make it look good, market it. All of these things are bleeding into the spirituality, and people aren't even aware of it. Or maybe they are aware of it. I've seen many people actually comment on it, but then okay, let's move on. So the books you're reading, I find it very, I'm not against you reading the books, of course, or, anybody else reading them. But one of the things that we have both talked about in our discussions is the necessity for discernment and how to cultivate discernment. And you go, well, how do you cultivate discernment? Well, and I know Aristo now is doing another monologue when it should be a dialogue, but one last thing. Discernment is cultivated by doing it through experience. Just, I need to discern right now. Okay, I got this thing here, this book. What are the implications of these beliefs? How does it affect me? How does it affect everything else? Discernment is cultivated. And so whatever you experience in life, even if it sucks or whatever, if anything, it can be a means to increase your discernment. And your discernment is important. Even in it's trial and error, either something's going to suck in the end or it's going to do good. You learn from your mistakes, in other words. That's how you develop discernment in a way that doesn't involve complicated practices and stuff like that. Okay. 5 minutes. Well, I really don't have anything else to say. It's just that what except to just pass the baton to you and just say, what else did this, what of this book made an impression on you? Was it uplifting? Was it downlifting? Was it, you know?
Well, to me, the whole thing is just expanding another point of view, and to have someone that was a fundamentalist evangelical minister reach some of the conclusions that he's reached, which parallel some of the conclusions I've reached, is fascinating. But yet there's certain areas that he goes to or conclusions that he reaches that just do not resonate at all with me, and especially the idea that nothing is real here, that the reality is somewhere else. And he does make the point that experience is always real, as I do. So I still have not been able to piece the thing together to come to a complete, coherent feeling or explanation that I can live with that brings me to the place of peace where I'd like to be. And I mean, the problem on the earth is that, to me, it's run by psychopaths. That's the problem. And how do we address that problem? That the people that seem to hold the highest positions have no morality, no ethics, no...
The author probably agrees with you there. I mean, there's a difference between reality being an illusion and being a delusion. An illusion is a neutral thing. I mean, a delusion is something that works against you. You know, you're delusional. You know, this thing is actually a disease. It's unhealthy. An illusion might just be a mirage. Oh, you know, my mind's playing tricks on me. I better just be careful I don't stumble here. You know, a movie is an illusion. You know, it gives me the illusion of reality. But a delusion is somebody deceiving me. So this is a very Christian idea, among other things. It's like, okay, this is what you call the prince of the world is the devil, right? So this is also the prince of lies.
And well, so he divides this prince of lies into several characters. You know, not just Lucifer is not the devil. They're two separate beings. You know,
they're like devils.
Yeah, but they're different. They're different beings. We're part of a big game, is what he's saying.
Yeah, okay, the chess game paradigm, and that's another thing. See, it's almost like this. So this is what Gnosticism, part of it, saying is like you do have that. It's also the reality that's promoted by the psychopaths themselves. I mean, I remember somebody who was like into the whole establishment spirituality in terms of, you know, I wouldn't say they were satanic, actually. They were just, you know, they just happened to resonate with that whole thing. And they were into, oh, you're of light and I'm of darkness, and light and dark always, it's like, no, they're both two sides of the same coin. And the coin is the deception. So in that sense, I agree with it. But they don't own the world. They just sit here. You know, if I get diseased because I catch a virus, the virus doesn't own me. Oh, sorry, man. You were basically the virus is you. You're the sickness. You know. So I don't really believe that in that sense. Now, but if you believe that, then there's the third thing, which is the reality, and that becomes okay. So then the only solution is to just get the hell out of here. You know,
well, that's if I were to believe everything that some people say, that would be the only solution that I could see that would be logical.
Exactly. And so you wonder, where do these things come from? I mean, this person is sincere. They're giving you free books. They are
obviously put forth a lot of effort and a lot of thought.
Exactly. Toward a belief system that is ultimately destructive, because it is exactly the belief system that the system wants you to have. Because there's certain artworks, there's certain promoted amongst their minions. I've seen them before, but for example, you have the left hand and the right hand, and the left hand is the bad cop, and the right hand is the good cop, or the criminal and the cop. So the criminal makes you run to the cop to protect you. And then the cops got you and you're trapped. And so, you know, the thing is, and yes, and then you have the other level of revelation that says, well, it's all a game. Ha ha ha. Again, they lead you to despair. So what's the solution then? Get out. Get out of the game. The game is matter. The game is not matter. The game is deception. And the body is your best bet to heal and get through it. Nobody has ever evolved, even in the spiritual systems, discarnate. Otherwise, nobody would incarnate. They'd all evolve. We would never come back if we could evolve outside of here. Because although we say, oh, we're trapped by karma, we're being pulled back, no, every spiritual, it's a fairly new thing that says that, well, if you escape, you're going to, or a very eclectic thing. It's rare. If you escape, you're going to evolve somewhere else. You are here. The very fact that you think you cannot get out means that a part of you is part of here. And the idea is both and, to integrate these realities. Bring in that third party and end the fucking chess game. Mm-hmm. That's what I believe can be done. And it's a matter of process. I don't think it's going to take 1,000,000 years, but I do think we are challenged to look far more deeply into the issue at the very least. These are some of the issues. I do believe they are spiritual issues. And, you know, thanks for the discussion. I think we should do more dialoguing. And I will try to speak less next time.
Okay. Well, I'm not worried about that. It was always something that promotes thought. And
yeah, exactly.
I like that.
That's the best we can do.
And feelings.
And feelings. Exactly. It's even better.
Okay. Well, thank you, Aristo, and namaste.
Namaste. Until next time.